This week on the Three Rings podcast.
Majority of people probably know the pros more than they will the celebrities. You don't have to look for them. The winner shows themselves to you. Once you get them with their partners, once you get them in their rehearsal studio when they're working, they mean business. I think he wants to break out, he wants to do something within the theatre and go into the West End. Oh my God. The response was, and why would he want to do that?
Welcome to episode 23 of the Three Rings podcast. My name's Stuart Bishop and I'm here with my fellow director, Bailey J. Muir. This week's guest is Ian Banham of Future Motion. Ian is an industry-leading choreographer and creative director with a multitude of success as a performer and creative. Coming from the glamorous world of Ballroom and Latin, Ian gained early career success being cast in Dirty Dancing on the West End, before going on to choreograph for Dancing with the Stars and working with artists such as Becky Hill. And in 2022, even premiering his own box office sellout production, The Blonde Bombshell. Ian has recently launched Future Motion, a new dance production company with several works in development for stage and screen. So, we are here not only with a special guest, Ian, but we're here, Bailey.
I know, it's crazy to actually be live, isn't it? It's so different. We've got like 3 cameras set up. So different than Zoom. Hopefully it's a better watching experience as well.
Ian, we're using you as a guinea pig.
Of course you are. Of course, of course.
We needed, basically, for doing, as I'm sure each week you watch our podcast, we've been doing it on Zoom. And because Bailey is in, where are you based? Bridlington. I'm in Finsbury Park. Bailey's down for the next few weeks. We've got a load of things going on. Are we allowed to say about the audition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, the audition. But we've got your Future Motion audition.
Have, yes.
We're having a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And a load of other little things, bits and bobs. And we're filming some other guest episodes. So we needed someone, Ian, who we can trust.
Okay, that's good.
And is pro Bailey and Stuart, and someone that has got lots going on, who can talk for a while and won't mind if we have to stop and do whatever.
Not a problem, yes.
So firstly, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for the incredible introduction. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Yes, well, we did ask for your CV, and you sent it, and then
it is what it is.
We sent it back to you, and you were like, "It's not enough.
It's not enough. Give me more. Give me more accolades. Give me more."
So tell us. We are, by the time this goes out, we hopefully have done an amazing audition day. Mm-hmm. But why don't you tell us what is Future Motion? How's it come about?
Okay, so Future Motion is a brand new dance company, as you introduced it, and it's creating a new vision for stage and screen. I think it's now the right time for me also to do this, because having inspirations in the dance industry, such as Matthew Bourne and Katie Prince, with Zoo Nation and New Adventures, it's given me that inspiration to really do something for myself. There will also be additional classes with the company, and I really want to get new different styles, mixing it together and seeing what we can come up with.
So you're having a company class?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So the company class, what I wanted to do with the company class is bring in different styles of dance. Obviously, I'm originated from the Ballroom and Latin scene, which is completely different to a lot of the commercial contemporary, but I feel as though I want to give different dance styles to show what I can do and to have different stories to relay that.
Awesome. So then obviously you've got like the production side as well.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, how are the classes and the productions going to link together? What's the through line there? And then also, if you want to go into a little bit of the production side as well, what are your aims with that?
With the company classes, what I really want to get across is working together, putting different styles together and coming up with unique scenes, new styles, so it can be projected into a production. I think having the first production, which was a sellout in Ireland, which we'll talk about later, it really gave me that inspiration to develop more ideas, create more different, unique stories for the audience to see. For me, it's about inspiring people to see something so they can understand it, they can relate to it, and also enjoy the performance.
You said we're going to talk about Blonde Bombshell, amazing, in a bit. But the reason why we're just mentioning the classes is because what we don't want is anyone to have come to the audition, not been successful, and then think that's the end of their future motion life.
No.
Because the company classes, there'll always be some of the company in there, but it's open to
anyone. Absolutely. And I think that's a good point. It's not just for the company who will be involved in it, it's for other artists to come in, and there might be something different what they offer which are not in the company currently. So there's always going to be avenues to bring more new and interesting people in it, and then we can develop from there. And I don't think you can really develop anything unless you bring new talent in.
And this is the thing as well, obviously with the company you want that range of styles, particularly with Ballroom and Latin. I can imagine it's so easy to get boxed in.
And I think that's the problem. I think we might touch on that later, but I think in terms of the Latin, there's not a massive Latin company. There's no Latin companies at all.
Why not?
I think because, well, you do need a partner for Latin. And I think if you look at it from commercial to Latin, you do really need a partner to make Latin look really good. When you're dancing Latin on your own, it's unless you have a unique style, unless you're a trained dancer learning Latin, it looks totally different. It doesn't have that cut and edge vibe, and I think that's what turned a lot of people off. When you see on Instagram and TikTok all these amazing commercial classes, they're so together, so tight, and it just blends in with the aesthetic of dance studios. I feel as though Latin is a bit more in the world of competitive, a bit more technical, and it doesn't come across as well as commercial. Not to say that it's not as strong. It's so technical and strong, but it doesn't come across the same.
Can I ask you about what you feel like the public's perception of that Latin style is as well? I feel like from a dance industry point, we look at commercial and we're like, that's what they want. But then I look at Strictly on TV and it's like, actually, that's what the public genuinely see and tune in for every year.
Well, the public do want to see Latin dance. Don't forget it originated with Come Dancing. But also you have to understand Strictly Come Dancing. It is probably people who watch that, I would say now, would be from the age of, in generalisation this is, probably from 40 up.
Right.
I don't think you probably will get the odd people watching it who are younger, but I think inspire-wise, I think it will be people from 40 up. And I think they look at it, and even though they may not be dancers, they'll be going, oh my God, they did a wrong step there, and they get involved in it. I think that's why they enjoy it, because they like to get taken on a journey, and I think that's what it's about.
Why do you think kids aren't into it?
I think
when you say people who are into Strictly, are you talking about the TV show, or are you talking about Latin in general? Because it doesn't seem the coolest thing, I suppose, for kids to do.
I think because you need a dance partner. You really need a dance partner, and there aren't a lot of boys to go around. So once you get a partner and you have a boy to go out with, oh my God, that's like gold dust. And I think that's a shame, because there are so many talented boys who do Latin, and sometimes they do cross over, and sometimes they go to the colleges. But the majority of the time, it's very much in a box. Latin is very competitive. You have your classes, you practice every week, you get your lessons, then you do your competitive training, and then you do your competitions, mainly on Sundays. So it's totally different to the commercial world.
So bringing it back to Future Motion.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name?
I think I wanted to put a couple of words together which really meant forward thinking.
Yeah.
Future, it's about the future. And motion, it's about motion. It's not a specific dance style.
Right.
It's all about the motion and movement. So I think the two words, work quite well together.
Because you can choreograph anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it even though you've come from a Latin background, you're saying Future Motion, it's not necessarily you're going to be producing shows which are Latin.
No, it's just not. It's not going to be like someone who's from Strictly a Pro. They will do their Latin show. Predominantly, it will be Latin. This is why I want to get other styles of dance, because I find it exciting, and I'm always willing to learn how people move and why they move in a certain way compared to how I've been trained to move my body as well.
Yeah.
There's something, that word motion always jumps out to me as well. It's like a sense of there's always something going on. which I think really sums you up as a
Continuing,
creative.
yes, continuing.
There's so many choreographers out there who just work booking to booking, whereas for yourself, it's like you're always working on something even when you're not on a booking.
Yeah.
What is it for you that really like drives that for you, that you're always just doing something whether you're being paid to do it or not?
I don't know. I think it's something I've grown up with. Being from a young age, I think I've always been creative. I wanted to start dancing as a young age. And people go, "Oh, was it your parents who pushed you into it?" And I was like, "No, I wanted to actually do the classes. I was interested in performing." Looking back on it now, I sort of wish I would have gone to college and stopped competitive Latin and ballroom dancing, probably around the age of 14, 15. And that's something we can talk about later. But I feel as though I've always wanted to do something. And someone once said to me, "Ian, every time I look at you, it's like your mind is constantly thinking." And I am constantly thinking about different things. And it doesn't have to be me watching something what will inspire me. It's just something will go, "Oh, what was that just happened over there?" And that will go, "Oh, actually, something I might have watched a couple of days ago, what I haven't seen for years, go, oh, I haven't seen that for a while. That really inspires me to maybe think about a concept for that."
You're on it all the time, and we can vouch for that, because just in case anyone doesn't know, the reason why we're using Ian as our guinea pig is because me and Bailey are his agents, and we are constantly, every week there's a new idea, a new thing you're working on. We will often, have meetings with you, talking through these ideas and just making sure commercially they're going in the right direction and that. When you came originally to us about the idea of Blonde Bombshell, I would never have thought from your original coming, "Oh, I've got this idea," to then where it got to. When we came and watched it, it was fantastic. Why don't you tell us about Blonde Bombshell?
There's a lot to say about
What
the
is Blonde Bombshell?
Okay, so the Blonde Bombshell is a portrayal in the life and times of Marilyn Monroe through dance. I originally came up with the concept while working on another show. However, it originated from a couple in Ireland. John and Laura asked me to come up with a concept for their World Show Dance competition, which I think was in Germany. And Laura is actually blonde, so I was looking for different concepts, and it wasn't anything I didn't feel as though it was the right concept. And then I happened to see an image of Marilyn. I went, "Oh my God, I love Marilyn. How about Marilyn?" As soon as I said the word Marilyn, "Oh my God, that's an amazing idea." So we went with the Marilyn concept with the JFK dress. So she got the JFK dress, and we did a couple of songs from Smash the TV show, which you might be well aware of. And then we choreographed together. They put their own identities into the JFK personality and, of course, the Marilyn personality. And then they ended up getting in the final, which was incredible for them. And they danced incredible. The idea came after I saw them perform in a segment of Dancing with the Stars in Ireland. And when I saw the setup and how they'd done the lighting and they'd done the backing, the LED screens, and I went, "This is a stage show. I can imagine more dancers, story of Marilyn." And then I did a pitch, which I then showed to you guys. And then I remember, Stuart, you saying, "Who have you shown it to?" And I went, no one. You went, "Good, don't." So then as soon as you said that, I knew it was something good, because that was
very early on in our relationship.
Yes,
so we weren't too sure how, you were coming up with loads of ideas, and like anything, you have to have a certain amount of ideas to sort of find the good ones. And we didn't have any clue at that point how much, if you were showing it to the world or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just like, and it was the first time where you'd sent us something, well, we'd be like, "Ooh, this is good." And I was like, right, don't be showing this to anyone yet.
Yeah.
Let's work on it. Let's fine tune it, develop it, get it branded up. And yes. So, because I think deep down we knew straight away that they had legs, didn't it?
That's it. We knew that was the one, obviously, just from it having Marilyn. I'm going very business here, but the intellectual property there, it's like one of these superstars that just transcends all generations.
Yeah, and I think at the time when I'd given you that pitch, I think literally about 3 months later, the new Marilyn Netflix thing was introduced, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is really surreal." It's like it was meant to be. And then a couple of other things happened, and then Kim Kardashian wore her dress, and everything sort of like happened all around Marilyn. And it was a weird time. I was like, it was meant to be. It was meant to be me doing this Marilyn and involving you guys in it. And then obviously you used to like, listen, keep the lid on it. Let's see what we can develop it. And then from there, I spoke to a guy called Ryan Andrews in Ireland. He ended up directing it and being a mentor with me on it. Always been a champion of me, incredible guy. And then we got it on stage, and we got some incredible dancers from Ireland, and it was sold out. I mean, amazing. I mean, that was one of my goals in life, original goal, to get a production on stage.
It felt very starry on the night. It just felt great.
Well, actually, how did you feel about it? Like, in terms of going there, I mean, I don't know whether you like stage or what. Like,
well, we obviously we flew out, didn't we, to Dublin, and I think. Do you remember we got actually to the theatre about 2 hours early?
We're literally about 3 hours earlier, walking around that unique.
How long is this going to be? How long is this going to be?
Yeah, and so we were like, right, let's go and because it was that where the actual theatre is not in a sort of a district of where you can, I don't know, we were looking for a Chinese.
Well, this is
where you can go and get something to eat.
Yeah. You hear Ireland's biggest venue, you think, it's going to be like in the centre.
Yes.
I remember. Did we get a taxi down there, I think? And we got out thinking like, okay, everything will be right there. And we got out like, where the hell are we?
Where are we?
And it was freezing. It was freezing.
Of course it was. Yeah. Of course it was.
But when we then when we came back, because when we got to the theatre, it was obviously, we were thinking, maybe we'll be able to say to it, you were obviously backstage rehearsing or whatever, getting things ready. And we just couldn't see any, from the outside, we couldn't see anyone. We were like, oh God, we'll have to come back. Went and had a Chinese.
Oh, so you did get a Chinese. Okay, great.
About half-hour walk, like.
Yeah, half-hour walk.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
It was actually. It was quite nice.
Well, it was fun. The Chinese was funny, wasn't it? Because you had to go up these stairs, and then it was like, like in films where you see a freezer door or something. It looked like that. We're thinking, what's behind there? Yeah. Opened it up. Busiest Chinese you've ever seen.
Were you joking?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Literally, like going to the hallway, you thought you like walked into it. And you were like, this can't be right.
Eat what you want, innit?
Yeah.
For I don't know, for whatever money it is in Ireland, euros.
Yeah.
For some euros. And then we went back, and the moment we went back, it was like, bloody hell, there's a lot of people here.
Okay.
And then it felt like, the who's who of like Irish dancing and reality shows and celebs and I don't know about you, I was just like, oh my God,
I've never seen a show so busy before the show.
Yes,
like we were like 40 minutes early, so like doors haven't even opened. Yeah, it was like the entire audience.
So you're going to be able with a couple of litres, just waiting for the couple of people going, is anyone to be any good?
Well, we were thinking at the start, maybe they're just...
This isn't the right one. This isn't the right place.
Well, no, but I was thinking maybe they have couple of theatres here.
They have got a smaller one, yeah. They
right.
have, yeah, which I think holds about 500 or something.
Because I was just like, where are all these people going to go?
Like, because that's the conference place where the actual performance was.
Yeah.
It's not normally a stage. They normally do a lot of conferences there, which is why it was so big.
Then I remember we asked one of the ushers, and they said that the other theatres weren't open that night either. Yeah. So it was literally all yours.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Which was weird, and I think because I was in there from 8 a.m. in the morning, and it was still like they were still putting everything together, and it was like, how are we actually going to go up live at 8 o'clock? I was like, what is going on here? But then coming out to all of the people, like to see my mum and dad, my family, you, James,
and you had that big the balloon,
the balloon with
thing. We all got photos, didn't we?
It was a bit surreal, and like you have to take yourself out of it for a minute and go, what just happened? And it was not only was it my first production, but it was like, this is surreal because it's sold out as well. It was
I mean, so first of all, we're like, this is amazing, the fact that there's so many people. Then when we get in, just before we were waiting, there were people walking past. It just felt like the Oscars.
Yeah. It was seated quite like the Oscars as well. Yeah,
we had great seats, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then it came on and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. I thought the first number was a little bit.
I think you said yes,
could have been a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
But that's the choreographer in me. Everybody else would have probably thought, that was amazing. Yeah. But I mean, it was just brilliant. It was just brilliant.
I think it helped the fact that I knew a lot about her before going into the project. Mm-hmm. I think my dad introduced me to her when I was young, and he was like, "Oh, you got to watch this film. It's black and white. What's this film?" And then I just remember seeing her and thinking the vulnerability, the innocence, the beauty, and just how she was on set. Just everything about the way she was and the way she died, and just the whole thing about Marilyn for me is just incredible. And that was just my take on how I wanted her to be seen, because I didn't want it to come across as some things what have Marilyn in are quite harsh and quite sort of like, she's a blonde bimbo and she's this and she's that. And although it was a dance production and we had a couple of narratives within it, I just wanted to be quite respectful of her.
Yeah.
I'm sure that knowledge of her probably helped with this, but also how did you get that on so quickly? It must have been 6 months from pitch to production.
I actually don't know. It was all a bit of a blur. We got the idea. We spoke about it a lot about how we would get different people dancers in Ireland. I knew a couple of the dancers obviously before, and we had to audition a few as well. We just did a workshop in the summer, and I think we had about 12, 13 dancers. You guys saw the videos for it. And we'd just done literally about five or six numbers, and then we're like, "Oh my god, this is great!" And then we did the initial rehearsals, and we were like, "Okay, let's put it on at the Helix." And then we did the initial rehearsals for it, and it just worked. And I just tried to go through her. I mean, the amount of paper I wrote down on regarding her life from beginning to the middle to the end, and how we separated everything from part 1 to part 2. Mm-hmm. We did have an amazing lady who came in who was a massive Marilyn fan, and she helped us say how she would be, and she knew everything about. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about her, but she knew everything about her. So that was really good, and she watched it and she was really shocked that we have been so respectful of her. So I was just happy that it was so soon, but it was very surreal. Very surreal how it happened so quick.
You normally just work as a choreographer. That's been your past. Mm-hmm. When you then are, because I mean, what's your role there? You are the head honcho. What is that? The producer,
the creator.
The creator. So what's the difference? I mean, I do know obviously, and I'm asking you is to explain, or should I say, I think I know the answer. The difference between just being a choreographer, having to deal with your dancers, and then being the creator, having to deal with not only the dancers, but everything else.
I think as a creator, you have to have a mind which works overtime.
Right.
Because it's, as you said, it's not just choreography, because you can go, okay, you've got 12/8 to learn, this is what we want you to do, but there's no mindset behind it. You've got the choreography, you've got the music, someone's giving you the creative, so it's quite easy.
You're just doing your job.
You're just doing my job. There's the choreography, go and work it out, make sure you keep to the timings, this is the positions, this is the patterns, boom, there you go, which is great. As a choreographer, I love doing it. However, for me, it's more about that. It's about creating from here to put it onto here, and then going, right, this is what I want to see from my mind. And I think it's totally different. It's just that other element of going, okay, the creative mind and then the choreography.
Yeah.
And obviously the creative mind has to come first. But as I said, I always feel as though I've had that creative thing in me, and it's just something what I'm always thinking of constantly. As you know, I'm always going, what do you think about this concept? What do you think about this? And I've already got something else what I want to talk to you about. But it's having that consistent creative. I don't know how I get it, but I just do.
Yeah.
So how different was it when you were then sat there on that premiere night watching it? How different was it to sit there as the creator rather than where you usually watch your work as the choreographer? Was that more rewarding for you or more nerve-wracking?
At the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was I was nervous, but I didn't, you know, when you get like anxiety, like, oh my God, I don't know, because I obviously had you guys sitting here, I had James next to me, my parents at the other thing. And when you know people, it's probably worse because your expectations, you need it to be amazing, especially having my agents there. It's like, this needs to be good. It needs to be good.
It was like the royal box. It was.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And we'll tell you the truth as well.
No, of course. And that's what I respect you guys for. I know that you're going to go, no, I didn't like this and I like that, but I like this because you did this.
Yeah.
And it was quite nerve-wracking at the beginning. But as it continued, I sort of like felt very relaxed in a weird way. Even though it was my production, I felt quite relaxed. That was probably because I was happy of how it was going.
Yeah.
And also I had Ryan, he was dealing with the lights and the sets and stuff at the back. Right. So I had me watching. I obviously wasn't going to write notes because we had the one sellout show. So I had notes, but they were my notes and he was doing the lights. So we had both things to think about. But I sort of, until I think after about the third part of the first act, I really started to enjoy it. Enjoy it and enjoy the story and how they portrayed it, because you can have a story but your dancers might not be able to portray it properly. So I think it was very very important that they had a good director like Ryan to really give them that character. And although Marilyn is, she was incredible, Laura was amazing, but a lot of the time it is about the posing. It is about how she moves from foot to foot, not necessarily about the amount she dances, but it's the intricacy of how she does Marilyn. And I think she just was sensational.
She was very good, and I was single then, so I remember thinking,
here we go.
She wasn't, and she still isn't.
And I'm not either. I'm not now either. But I remember thinking at the time, she's very pretty, let's just leave it at that. I was just thinking she was very pretty, and she did great as Marilyn Monroe, really good dancer. So who's she married to? She was married. Is she with some other?
She's with Matthew, who was on Love Island.
Right.
And he was also a contestant.
We met him.
Yeah, the guy was like 6'5".
Yes.
Like whole lot, Laura Lester. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I even do that with Matthew. I'm like, oh, Matthew, why is that? But yeah, lovely couple. Yeah.
Right. Go on.
I was going to say, I wonder if there's an element of that where you start to get that feeling of relief in the production, because you don't have that, like, there's a producer or a commissioner that actually, your job's on the line.
Yeah, I think because you're in charge of it.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm not going to lie, it's a great feeling because you're in charge of what happens. But
is that because it went well? If the next day or the next few days there was like some reviews in the Irish Times saying it was absolutely shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, you're never gonna have every single person in an audience go, oh my God, that was just incredible, or that was a great show. You're always going to be people, and I respect that. People aren't going to like a certain type of narrative or a certain type of dance. What I tried to do is I tried to put different dance styles. Again, we had trained dancers, we had ballroom and Latin dancers, so you get that mix again. Yeah, it was quite ballroom led, but at the same time there was quite a lot of amazing jazz dancers in there, and there was one girl who played Norma Jean, Kelly, who's phenomenal, and she got the character just right as well. As Laura.
The child. Who was the child?
The child, Louisa.
Yeah,
she was unreal.
Do you know what? It just suddenly I was thinking, okay, was it this show there was a child?
Yes,
there was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She was very good.
And that is how we tried to narrate the whole thing around the young orphan to Norma Jean and then to Marilyn.
Yeah.
And obviously there are things what I want to change.
Yeah.
What I go, I didn't like that. I didn't like the entry. But what you've got to forget is that was a conference hall as well. So there weren't wings. So you couldn't have the things you wanted to have, and you couldn't have a certain amount of props. But you see things like, I wouldn't have had that, or you just change certain things. So I have obviously a lot of notes and a lot of different directions where you have as well, where you go, I probably wouldn't have done that. But obviously you learn from what you do. So
I was thinking, we need to get a new choreographer in.
Yeah.
I could. The reason I said that and joking about that is, as the creator, at some point, we know you've got a number of sort of things that you've written. You've got in different various stages. you're not going to be able to keep choreographing if you're the creator.
No.
That's just sort of the reality of it. However, how much are you willing to, this is born out of your choreography and your sort of creative mind. How much are you willing to sort of give over? Because I know obviously Arlene Phillips now, she will be getting people coming in, but that would have happened over a period of time. Like, when do you think, how, I don't know, let's take Blonde Bombshell. Do you think you'd bring other choreographers in, or do you think you would, how would you go about it?
I think there always needs to be some sort of fresh eye and vision, not creatively, but in terms of choreographically. And I think I tried to do that on the original. So a lot of it was my idea, my concept, or the whole thing was my idea and concept.
Yeah.
However, I'd go, right, what would it be like if you did this? And then they would put some more eights together. What about if we did this? So although, you try to choreograph it, it's virtually, because each act had about 20 different scenes and they were all dance scenes. So you have to come to a point where, okay, come back with me. What does this look like? No, I don't like that. Change that. So you have to be in charge of everything, not just the creative, but also what the choreography looks like and how does it look with that scene. And I think, to answer your question, in terms of how do I bring people in, I think Future Motion is a good way to meet new artists, new dancers, new people who have different looks on things.
So it's not seen as just Ian Banham's choreography.
And to work and share the choreography with people and ideas. I think it's an ongoing process, and I think Future Motion is a good way to start that.
Do you think in that sort of creator role, actually having people with expertise in specific styles has more value? Obviously, as a choreographer, we'd often say, like, even if you've never done breakdance in your life, as long as you have a cast of breakdancers, you can choreograph breakdance.
Exactly, yeah. And it's about patterns, it's about where it looks good, where it doesn't look good. And I think, that's a loose word. I used to think, choreographer, well, when I started on Dirty Dance, they went, right, go and do 12 eights. It's not my choreography. But they are, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's our choreography, but they are there to go, right, I want this here. That is what the choreographer does. They make patterns in dance and this is what it needs to look like. So, it's one of them things where you have to keep thinking about it. What does this look right? No, it doesn't. Why doesn't it look right? And I think that is something what a lot of people don't seem to grasp. And I think you have to have that, and you have to be open to debate and not go, no, I don't like it.
It's very hard though, because if you look at people like, who's the guy who choreographed High School Musical and he did Michael Jackson?
Oh,
Kenny Ortega.
Kenny Ortega.
So that there must be a point as choreographers of that high level where if whoever we're getting in, they've got to be good, because I'm bloody good. So it's like, as Kenny Ortega, when in the This Is It and they get that geezer in to he's the black guy's the choreographer. Kenny Ortega is the creative director, but Kenny Ortega is probably thinking, well, I could probably do just as good, but you have to, you can't keep doing it. Arlene Phillips wouldn't be able to do everything she does and keep choreographing.
Yeah.
But it seems a shame, because I suppose that is how choreographers gradually lose it. They get to a point where they go, right, now I've got to bring in other people. And the longer they do that, the less you're going to be good at doing that. And then if you were to then come back, if Arlene Phillips was to come back into the studio and go, right, I'm only choreographing it, it's going to be dated.
Yeah. But this is why you need new people to get a bit of an injection of a bit more a vision as well in creating choreographically. But I'm very open to asking great talent to help in terms of choreographic and visions going forward.
Shall we go on to the Latin world?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, because you are primarily you've come from the Latin world, dear. Did you go to a I feel like have we had this conversation before on a podcast?
I think we've had this conversation with Ian on a meeting before.
On a meeting.
But not on a podcast.
but not in it.
Deja vu. You didn't go to did you go to a traditional dance college, or did you learn from just the ballroom and Latin?
So I just originally started learning from just a church hall, literally 2 doors away from my parents still live.
Yeah.
Just ballroom and Latin and old time classes for 50p. This is how long ago it was.
Old time
It's like sequence, very old fashioned, very like big ball gowns, and it's very old fashioned.
And how old were you when you started that?
I was 5.
Right. Now, okay, a 5-year-old. How does a 5-year-old? Was it your parents?
No.
So a little 5-year-old Ian.
5-year-old Ian.
Is that why aren't you out playing army? Why aren't you like playing football?
I was in the Beavers.
Right.
But I didn't go to Scouts, so I didn't enjoy it.
How does a 5-year-old go? Right, I want to.
It was summer holiday.
Yeah.
And because the church hall is literally 2 doors away.
Right.
It had a notice for dance classes. Now, I always used to watch Top of the Pops when I was growing up, so I always used to like, the lights and the movement and the singing, stage, and which surprised me because I thought, maybe I wanted to do stage. Probably that was sort of in the way, and that was at my time I needed to do ballroom and Latin. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, listen to my mum and dad, can I do a dance class? And they were like, yeah. And they were like, how much is it? 50p. What? I'm not paying 50p. And it was 50p, and I just went, and then I loved it. I don't know what it was about it. I just enjoyed it.
What was the 50p for? To cover the subs? Was it the sub? Like
just to have the dance class dance class. And I just enjoyed it. And then I went in just to little medalist competitions and little competitions in the area. And then I moved. Then I went to dance school in Ipswich, Tom and Pat Late School. That's when I really started to go open circuit, which is you do competitions around the country. And then you either keep with your partner, or if your partner's a different age, you then split up and you go with someone who's in your age group. It's very complex, the world of Latin and ballroom, which is why I left when I was around 26 years old. And I had a long competitive career. I don't regret it because I love that I'm from that world. And I know a lot of commercial dancers and contemporary dancers. When I was working Dirty Dancing, they were like, oh my God, we'd love to learn Latin and it's so cool. But I just wanted to get out of it for political reasons, and in a short way, I was paying for my dancing. I was like, I'm not paying for this anymore because my parents obviously paid and supported me. And when I moved to London at around 18, I was having lessons and practicing. I was like, I need to knock this on the head, because although I know I'm as talented or more talented than a lot of these people who are getting higher than me in the rankings, do I really want to waste my money? Yeah, it could look a bit of a cop out. Oh, he's copping out because he's not getting the results. But in my head, I wasn't prepared to do what I needed to do to get that far. And I think my love for it finished. I didn't want to put the fake tan on. I didn't want to put the costumes on. I didn't want to practice 5 nights a week. I thought that was my get out. And I wish I'd have had that get out when I was about 16 and gone to dance college. I wish it was earlier.
There's something I always find fascinating with that grassroots training side of Latin and ballroom, where the schools feel so exclusive. And I make a comparison what I would call a normal dance school, which is probably the opposite of what you would think. Yeah. But there's these schools that are teach the commercial, teach the hip hop, and it'd be easy to say, okay, they only teach new styles. Yeah. But then they will always have a ballet class. Yeah. But they never really have a Latin class, never have a ballroom class. Why do you think Latin and ballroom is kept so separate from all other training styles at that youth level?
Can I add to that?
Yes, go on.
Because before you asked that, I was thinking my next question would be, why don't they do it in the colleges as well? Why isn't ballroom and Latin?
Well, I was actually taught it.
Oh, you were taught it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, we weren't.
I think it's just started within the last 5 to 10 years. I think they've just started.
So somewhere like Dang or Studio Centre, they've started to introduce.
I think they have.
I think probably inspired by the Strictly touring shows.
I think so.
There's
and
so
I think
much work
Strictly's,
there.
Yeah. But I think to answer the original question, I think because in commercial, in ballet, in contemporary, you don't have to have a partner. Yeah, so in Latin and ballroom, you have to have a partner. And it's when you get predominantly it's a boy-girl partnership. So there's not a lot of boys There might be. I haven't been to see the scene for years and years and years. Since I quit competitive, I've never been back to watch it.
So there's no single in a class. If let's say I was to go to Latin and ballroom classes, you're not being taught a single routine ever. It's always
you can be taught singles. You can be taught steps.
Yeah,
but those steps will be towards a partner. So you'll teach the lead and the follow. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So you can have classes where you don't have to have a partner. Well, I've taught loads of those. But when you have like the private lessons, you can still be a solo. But it's when you get with a partnership and you get the lead and the follow and the resistance and how you lead your partner and how you get together. And that's where it gets to the top level of competitive. Yeah. But yeah, you really do need a partner. You can learn, of course, you can learn it and understand the concept and the steps, and it's easy to learn basic salsa, basic samba, cha-cha. But you would need a partner to make it look impressive, which is why I don't think there's some great Latin classes out there. There's nothing unique about it. It doesn't seem that unique. It's like the commercial. You see these commercial classes. It's on. It's hard. It's got the
everyone
newest
has
tracks.
their own style.
Yeah, it's got their own style. With Latin, it's okay, hold on, and then my arm, and then it's very restricted, and I feel that's the only slight problem.
So do you think
that's my look on it?
Do you think it's then more about they're coming for the personality than the actual teaching of the steps, as in the teacher?
What do you mean? Is into how they look? You mean?
Yeah, because if all the teaching is kind of the same, and you're being all taught the same styles, or different, whether it's rumba or whatever. What's the difference then? Surely then it must be on who you prefer as a teacher.
It is as well, and I think everyone doesn't dance the same, but then you can tell who are trained by certain people. Right. Like you would be able to, they're from that college. Yeah. Because they teach like this.
So like an Arthur Miller.
Yeah, of course, like yeah. So, that's like a brand, and they teach a certain way, they teach like steps. But then all the teachers I had, you can tell, they go to that person and they go to that person. You can just tell, not in a bad way. Yeah. It's in a good way because you go, they're trained well because they go too.
Like when we say, she's a Lanes girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're trained by her or him. And that's good. And that's good, but at the same time, there becomes no individuality. Yeah. But then as a dancer, you have to have that to stand out. And someone once said, and I think it was a guy called Walter Laird, who was one of the most respected Latin teachers ever. And he said, you don't have to, when he's judging, you don't have to look for them. The winner shows themselves to you. And that for me is the epitome of Latin dance. Because they're all round the floor judging, and it's personal preference. A lot of the time, it's personal preference. But
hang on, hold on. When you say that, what do you mean by that?
Well, if
it's not personal preference, are you saying maybe there's a little bit of?
Well, there's a thing. If you go to if you go to teachers, Now, anyone in the industry will know if you go to a certain teacher, majority of them will put you through the rounds and they'll give you good marks because you go to them, you give them money for lessons.
Oh, so they're judging, are they?
They're judges. So you might have a panel where you might have a couple of judges on the board. Right. So you go, okay, well, at least I've got a couple of judges to get me through the rounds, and I might get, if I get the final, I might get some good marks.
Well, this is real life, isn't it?
It's real life,
because
of course it is.
On
it's
who
not
you
nothing.
know.
Exactly, and the same as the industry with the commercials.
Yeah,
I know them,
but at competition level, it shouldn't be that, should it?
I think there's
well,
something.
It shouldn't.
It should be absolutely only to do with mark. It'd be like the boxing and having an all British judges.
Yeah, like Eddie Hearn being the judge for Joshua.
Yeah. This is what it's similar to ice skating. However, I just feel as though because it's put in that box and that's why I see it more of an art form. It's not a sport for me. It's an art form. Yeah. And I think that was a debate.
So what are we saying? Are we saying it's fixed? Is it like WWE wrestling?
I don't think it's like it's fixed, but when I was competing, I knew who the finalists were going to be before they announced them because there's a trend, like they would be the top six and they will always be marked. They don't even really have to be seen. They would already be marked because, they're, oh my God, they're the winners. They've won so many titles. So it's that fact. And you go, where do you want to get to in order to keep going? Am I going to stop at the round of 24? Am I going to get in the semi-final? Okay, it's about pushing yourself, and you really have to really go for it. But you have to have a lot of support and money and coaches behind you to really get pushed to the top level. And that is coming from someone who spent so many years within the industry. I'm not saying it's a corrupt industry. There are people in there who aren't great.
Yeah.
However, it's
it sounds like you're saying it's a corrupt industry.
No, that's your words, not mine. I just feel as though I got out of it for a reason.
Yeah. Well, there's a time and a place for everything, and people always will go negative about places and times that they've spent too long in. Yeah. Once you should have moved up or moved away, often people don't, because people are scared of change. So what happens is,
I think that's probably what
they get stuck in it, especially in the commercial world. Once you get to dancing behind artists, that's it. You can't really go anywhere else. Yeah. For the work based, working, enhancing someone else. So they spend a whole sort of period of their career where they're at the top, but they're moaning because they're not getting paid as much as they need to be, or they're not getting the respect.
Yeah.
And they don't think, right, I need to go do something else.
Yeah, so, and I think that's the problem with Ballroom and Latin. You do the competitive circuit, and you have the people who teach you. Now, in order to break away and go to the more of the commercial industry, okay, you can go and have like classes and stuff, but to break away that, a lot of them won't like it. Number one, you're not giving them money because you're breaking away from that scene.
Yeah.
And they don't like. I had one.
Not giving who money?
The teachers,
the teachers,
the money,
the
organisations, the competitions you have to pay.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, you have to pay for everything.
Right.
Unless you're sponsored. There's a lot of people who do get sponsored now with their costumes, with their shoes is a big one as well. So around that time, there wasn't a lot of sponsorship around my time, so you had to fund it yourself, especially with British dance. And it doesn't sound like, the UK dancers, they had it easy. We had it easy because we had all the best teachers here. Didn't mean to say we could afford everything.
Yeah.
We still had to have full-time jobs and do it that way. But going on to the what was I talking about? The teaching. And I had one massive couple who used to teach me, and I was at a time.
When you say massive, what, fat?
No, not fat. I will rephrase the massive. I will phrase it in. They were legends of the Ballroom and Latin scene.
Right.
They were top judicators. They were top judges.
Yeah. How was their diet though? Were they
No,
slim?
they were slim. They were slim. I remember there was a transition, and I was like, it was just before I completely finished with the dance competitive world.
Yeah.
And I think they were speaking to my dance partner at the time, and we couldn't make a lesson, and they were talking about, Ian doesn't want to really do the competitive side anymore. And I wasn't on the conversation for reason. I think she was talking to them, and then they said to her, well, what does he want to do?
Hang on, who's they?
My teachers.
Yeah, but
my dance teachers.
But who's talking to him on your
my
behalf?
dance partner at the time. My dance partner, competitive, yeah.
Right.
This Russian girl I was dancing with, and they were talking about it, and they were, I think he wants to do something. Well, what does he want to do? I think he wants to break out, and he wants to do something within the theatre and go into the West End. Oh my God. The response was, and why would he want to do that? So from there, I think that totally gave me the right sign to go, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be around people, to have people who train me and think that of me, because all they want is my money. And I think a lot of people in the industry think the same. Yeah. They daren't say it.
That's all we want, isn't it? Your 20% commission.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like there seems to be this thing of, if you don't want to have, it was like a snobbery, a type of snobbery. Why on earth would you want to go into the theatre and do West End? What are you talking about? Because Ballroom and Latin is so amazing, And then you look at the thing when I actually got into the West End, and I proved them all wrong. And I got there without an agent. I got there through my talent alone, and I got to be in one of the biggest West End musicals of all time. And it was done through my talent, not through some agent pushing me, or not through a judge going, I'll put him through to the next round. And that for me is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life, because I got there through me and not through someone else putting me through a round or giving someone money to put me through.
Can I ask you, with that, how did you actually know that was like an option for you that you could then bridge into more of like the casting industry? I'd say this more from the ballet world, but there's so many ballerinas that don't know that they don't have to just exist within companies, and there's like TV adverts for them. I feel like not many Latin and ballroom dancers actually come into casting.
Well,
why do you think that is, and how did you know that it would be an option?
Well, I think they affirmed it for me, my teachers. They affirmed it for me, and I don't think that a lot. Listen, I think we touched on it earlier. A lot of them are afraid to leave the norm. They don't. They like that comfy. Okay, Ballroom and Latin. I know what I'm doing. It feels comfortable. I'm in the environment with a lot of amazing dancers. I don't want to bridge out. I'm afraid if I go into a class, how will I look like? And to be fair, a lot of them don't cross over well, because they have that mentality of, I come in a shirt and a tie and I've got my ballroom lesson, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's so beautiful and elegant, the ballroom side of it. But I think there's that thought of, why would you want to do that? Why would you need to do that? Well, for one, I want to earn myself some money. For one, and I get to perform to loads of people and get paid for it and do something I love. I wasn't loving the competitive industry. I was paying for the lessons. I was paying for competitive. I was paying for my travel, paying for hotel, paying for costumes. And then you're like, and then you would be at the Winter Gardens, which is one of the most incredible ballrooms. And then you would have your dance teachers who would be there. Obviously, some of them are judging, some of them are not. And half the time they would just walk straight past you and not even acknowledge you. So that affirmed to me, I go, this isn't the industry I want to be in or I want to be part of. And going forward now, I've heard from a lot of people that there's so many different organisations wanting to take money after money after money after all these people. It's not an industry I would want to be in or associated with. The Ballroom and Latin industry, it's all over the place, what I've heard at the moment.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the commercial dancers, they don't want to, there's often that sort of fear of going further than being just the artist behind
the backing dancer.
Because the rest of the for them is the entertainment industry, where you're not just being judged against your fellow other commercial dancers. You're then suddenly seen as, well, you're a dancer, and there's actors and there's famous people and there's whatever, all these different genres. So I can see why, but you have to pay for everything, so you don't make any money at all. If you get into the top finals, you obviously get the trophy if you win, and then I don't know how much they get paid now. I don't know what it was. I mean, back in the day, I think it was like about £500 if you won the world championship. I mean, that was back in the day. If you choreograph a duo, do you negotiate in, if you win, then I get a little bit of that?
No, that's not, because that would be like an agent type. Do you know what I mean? That would be like an agent type thing.
Well,
that would be like a teacher. As a
choreographer, you should be
a choreographer's royalty.
As a choreographer, it's like a
they don't do that though.
No.
They would go to their teacher to get the choreographer, or they go to someone who is well known for choreography who teaches Latin for that. So they would pay for that session as when they go for that. They wouldn't get an extra if they won. So that's slightly different. But it's just so unique how it happens. I mean, don't get me wrong. How they move and how they dance in Latin is second to none. It's just exquisite. The male and female role and how they move together, their bodies it's such an amazing feeling when you dance it right.
The reason why we want to talk about Latin and the crossover is because you were saying over this last sort of few years, there is so much work, isn't there?
Oh God, yeah.
When you're doing castings and the amount of shows that are sort of touring using Latin, you'd think, what was it? You said, why aren't they coming over?
Yeah, well, this is it. There's so many expert Latin dancers that never come in.
Yeah.
So these shows like a Johannes are picking up commercial dancers and in a 2-week rehearsal period teaching them Latin for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, where are the dancers that have spent their life doing this?
Yeah.
Why do you think
Probably
they don't
because they haven't got agents and they're probably
Mm.
still in the competitive industry and they wouldn't know anything. I didn't know that having an agent when I was in Ballroom and Latin. I didn't need one because I was just going to the teachers. So I don't think they understand that part of the industry. And as I said, it's the norm for them not to have an agent. So why would they need one?
Do you think it's seen as a bit not white privilege, but like a bit like equestrian or like like horse riding?
It's very grand. It's very old fashioned, and it's at the Winter Gardens. It's so
is there
beautiful.
a future for Latin and ballroom? Like there's so much out there now
in the competitive
for kids.
world.
Well,
what do you mean?
Will kids ever think, oh, this is cool? Kids growing up now, are they looking? They're probably not even watching Strictly because Strictly used to be seen by that amount. Now it's probably. I mean, my mum's watching it.
But you might get the little toddlers up to 5 who are like watching it with their parents and they're jigging around.
Right.
You do often see that a lot when they do the VTs and stuff. Supporting different people, and that might inspire them to want to be But they might, some of the time they might want to be a ballerina. They not necessarily want to be a Latin dancer, but that will come across. They might want to do Ballroom and Latin, but I think the thing what is missing is that commercial crossover from doing Latin competitive in doing the commercial classes, because I don't think they want to cross over. That's what.
So do you think it needs to be within the schools? Where how like theatre schools often you can go to an after school thing and some of them then will have they'll have a link with an agency.
Yeah.
Do you think it needs to come in like that?
Maybe because as you said, there's a lot of Strictly tours what go around what need a lot of Latin dance and they don't use it. They use commercial.
Well, if you think the guys you see on Strictly Come Dancing, they would run rings around the majority of just normal guy dancers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, they possibly might not be as good as some of the intricate choreography you might see at base, but that intricate choreography at base is not what's in the choreography on TV or on shows.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I just think it's quite a big crossover from Latin to the commercial, but that's because there's no agents in Latin. If they were to have agents within Latin, then
take notes.
Take notes, guys. That's what I've got this here for. There might be more Latin people tempted to go into that world.
So there's no Latin. God, I feel like we should be turning the cameras off.
Yeah.
There's no Latin agency.
Not a Latin agency. There are people who probably have a lot of Latin people on their books.
So the big couples,
agencies.
The big couples, they're all represented, aren't they?
What the competitive couples?
The ones you see on Strictly.
They're all represented by commercial
yeah.
agents. Yeah. They're not like from Latin agents. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's and I think that is the main reason why there's no crossover.
Yeah. I wonder if there's something in just like we've never packaged Latin as like a modern format as well. Because to go back to the like demographics of Strictly, like where you said earlier, it's 40 plus. Why has like a Netflix never come in for Latin when then you've had like the step up films that have taken hip hop? Why doesn't Latin get presented that way?
Yeah, because you'd think it would, because Dancing with the Stars is huge.
Because then when you see there are the odd films, what you had Jennifer Lopez in and stuff, which gives a little hint of the Latin.
Yeah. Dirty Dancing 2, that classic.
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah, Jesus. How could I forget that?
Cuban's, what is it, that fire one with the big guy? And Yannette Fuentes was in it. She was the baddie. Cuban Salsa, sorry?
Latin. Was it? Oh, I know. It was about 10 years
ago.
The big guy. He was doing. I can't remember what it was called.
The guy who's in Shaun of the Dead. Nick Frost.
Yes,
Nick Frost.
Yes,
who's
I can't remember. I remember.
Penn.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of Latin people in that.
Yes,
yeah. I can't remember. Was it Latin Fever? I don't know what it's called.
Like Cuban
Fever.
Cuban Fever.
Something like this. Yeah.
Something.
Something like, I don't know. I can't remember. That was way back now. Yeah, I just think. What was we talking about?
I was just saying about like why like it's never been packaged up in modern format, like Netflix coming in for it, some Hollywood film in the current day.
They had that film years ago, Strictly Ballroom, didn't they?
Oh, that's a classic. Though.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah,
And that's not to be touched.
Show my age.
But actually, let's talk about Strictly Ballroom, the film. Have you both seen the film?
I have, yeah.
Oh my
Ric
God,
Flair's
no.
in it.
Really?
No. But
Oh,
the man who is the main baddie or something, it looks like Ric Flair.
Oh,
With the white hair.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, you'd be like, that's Ric Flair.
The thing of it is, although it's very exaggerated,
Yeah.
that is very close to the Latin and ballroom scene at competitions.
Right.
Oh, okay.
With the taking off the music because they don't want something. It's and giving them backhand. You can see how that would be perceived as it, and it's very funny that it come out years ago, and now people go, "Oh God, I bet it's like that." But it's very close to the competitive world. Like, "Oh my God, how are you?" And then they put the banana down, or like, "Bitch." Do you know what I mean? It's very much like that. So it's very funny actually. You picked up on that film because I would associate that would be very much the Latin and ballroom competitive scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a lot. When you think about the level of people in the commercial world doing Latin dance, whenever there is a job or audition and they're having to teach, because they're never teaching them really hard stuff. They're always having to teach them basics,
yeah.
You just think and especially when you hear the fact that it's costing them so much money, do you think because it's costing so much money and there's so much of commitment, they then just don't have the time?
Maybe, but don't forget the people who are world champions and in the finals and the top of the professional, the amateur, they will go around the world and teach and get paid a lot of money. Go to here, go to there, go to this. You look at the likes of the judges and Strictly, Shirley Ballas, the judge in Ireland, Lorraine Barry. They are going around the world teaching all the time. They are world famous for teaching and they're incredible at what they do. So, it is a massive business if you are at the top of your game and you get paid a lot. But for the people who don't get where they need to get, it's not a great business to be in because you're not earning the money.
I always remember, not Brendan Cole. What's the one who's the judge now? The man.
Anton. Yes.
I was at an event and he had been hired to come.
Yeah.
He came.
Yeah.
He came. He did his thing.
Yeah.
He went out to the dance floor. He did a couple of jokes. He did this joke about this good-looking chap. Oh, no, it's the reflection in the mirror.
Yeah, of course.
And then he taught. Everyone got up. He taught them for about maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then he did a duet with his partner. Yeah. And then they fucked off to another one. And they had been paid thousands just to be there. Yeah. And they had 2 in that night. Yeah. So, and that was just on a Friday night.
But don't forget, he would have been famous for being a pro from the beginning.
Yeah.
So once you get to be a professional dancer on these shows, you're probably more famous than a lot of the celebrities who go on there because you're seen every single year. Yeah, they get new professionals in, but majority of people probably know the pros more than they will the celebrities. I have to say though, this year, the Strictly just gone, it's probably one of the best seasons I have seen for celebrities. I actually knew 3/4 of them. Sometimes I'm like, I don't watch the BBC, so I don't know that one.
Right.
So I would oh my God, I know that one. Oh wow. And then Annabelle Croft, I know her because of tennis, because I love tennis. So I thought it was a great season in terms of celebrities.
Right. Who did they have on? Yeah.
So you've got... I knew a lot of them, but in terms of you'll probably go, oh, I don't know who that is. They had that. Oh my God,
they will know them. I won't have a clue.
They had. I forgot his name. Jay Goody's son, who's in EastEnders. They had Annabelle Croft. They had Angela Scallon, who's a big talk host in Ireland. They had Gurren Murphy, the guy who's the news Channel 4. I think Channel 5.
Was he any good?
He got quite far actually. He wasn't too bad.
Do you watch
Angela Rippon?
Do you watch Strictly? I don't watch Strictly.
I sometimes do. I sometimes don't. It depends if I'm in. I don't make an effort to watch it. But if I'm around, I will play it.
I haven't watched it for.
Well, I only watched it. I dip in and out of
years.
it. I dip in and out of it to see what they're doing, and I like to watch the pro dancers to see what are they doing this week. But the only reason I really watched it every single week religiously is because I really liked the celeb lineup. So I was like, okay, I know them, so I want to see what they can do. So I think this year was a very good season.
Was that the one with because it was either this year or last year? They had the guy from is it Jamie?
Oh, later.
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was this year.
Yeah, that was.
Did he win?
I think he was runner-up or third. He was in the final 3.
Because I always think now, every year there's always one or two where it's like they shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed. Like if you're having sort of random celebs, and then you have, it was like the year Caroline Flack was in it. I knew she had. I knew right from the start. Well, she's going to win because she's had huge dance training.
Yeah. Well, I think with Caroline Flack it was slightly different because I actually, as a dancer, didn't know that she was a trained dancer.
Right.
I just, you can tell she's been trained at something because she was incredible. I also think it's how you are perceived in the audience. But that can be your disadvantage because if you are a great dancer, a lot of the public who watch you go, well, I want to see a journey. Right. I want to see them go from nothing to being a great dancer. Yeah. So I think that is why someone like Annabelle, she just missed out in the final, was really popular because her journey was really, really great and she improved every week.
She must be ancient, Annabelle Croft.
She's in her late 50s, I think.
Really? I suppose as a tennis player, you retire young, don't
they? They do, Like in late 20s, early 30s, they retire now. But and I think that was the danger with Leighton. He's so incredible. He's a trained dancer. But you can flip it the other way. A lot of trained dancers who I've taught Latin
can't do.
Turned in, I don't know why they've got turned in feet when they're ballet trained, but they have turned in feet, they can't get the right posture, and you're like, you're a trained dancer, but it doesn't always work.
See, if I went on Strictly, I would pretend that when they say, oh, have you had dance? But I'd be like, oh yeah, but all I could do was like a little bit of robotics or something like that. I wouldn't say that I'd done ballet, jazz and everything else. I'd just pretend.
But that's what a lot of them say. Yeah. Because you can't go on there and go, oh, well, I've done this and I've done this, and because they'll go, oh, cocky sod.
Are they told not to say if they've had training?
I think it's a bit common sense. If you've had loads of training, you go into a dance competition and you're going in there to learn dance. You're not going to go, oh, I've done all this dance training. No. Later on in the show, they'll go, I've had this, when I was young, I did ballet or something. But it's very interesting actually, because when you see how they're partnered with the pros, it's quite interesting because sometimes when you see who's on, you go, oh, look at them. Obviously, the creatives and the producers will go, well, I think that would be good if they were with them, and let's stir up a bit of thing, or they might not.
Because it's blurring the lines between competition and entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've got people going
at the show.
Is it entertainment or is it a competition?
Well, it's an entertainment reality show.
Because because do you pay for the votes if you ring? See, this is the thing. When people are paying for a vote, you should be getting the absolute truth. But what you're being given is never. I mean, I know this just from working on shows. You're told beforehand, oh, this couple's doing well. Do you know what I mean? For ratings or whatever, basically saying don't vote them off. But I've forgotten my point now. What were we talking about?
The thing of it is, when you start a process, when you go into the rehearsals before the actual show starts, none of them have got the celebrities. None of them know who they've got celebrity-wise, but they know who's probably doing it. They're all like, oh, let's have a great season and blah blah. Once you get them with their partners, once you get them in their rehearsal studio when they're working, they mean business. They come across on the VTs as great because they want to get the best bits and stuff, but they all want to win it.
If you're a pro though, you must be screwing because commercially it's not going to be good for you if you've got a big person, because you're going to get maybe a couple of weeks of coverage of, oh, isn't that fun? Isn't that nice? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're gone. That can't be good for the professional. As a professional, you want a good...
you want to do. I mean, there's always that, that thing of, oh, but I'm part of the show, or I'm in the pro numbers and I'm, seen as well. But of course it's not good. If you get someone like Caroline Flack, you're going to be, oh my God, Nicole Scherzinger, she did the American, and you're going to be, there we go, I might as well just go like this all the time, twiddle my thumbs in rehearsals because she's going to pick it up in 2 seconds. So you're like, well, I can give her anything, she's going to do it.
And the commercial value of that, you're going to be seen for 10, 12 weeks as opposed to 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you were with, again, no offence to her, I'm sure she's not watching, but the politician lady who was
Anne Wickham. I love her. She's hilarious.
Yeah. No,
brilliant.
I'm sure,
brilliant value. Brilliant value.
Great person,
Yeah.
whatever. Although she's, you know, was a Tory. But if you've got someone like that, and you're a professional dancer, you're thinking, well, we're not going to get any magazine space. We're not going to get any kind of coverage. No one wants to invite afterwards Anne Widdecombe with their partner.
Don't forget, this is.
She's not going to be put in one of these in your touring shows, is she?
Yeah.
She's not, but you'll be surprised. I mean, they gave her Anton.
Yeah.
Right. Now he was at the time probably the oldest of the professionals when he was a professional dancer. Now think, as a producer's hat on, you want to also you don't want everyone to look incredible.
Yeah. So
you have to have variety, which we were talking about, and that's another reason they have different variety of people. You don't want everyone incredible, because although it might go, oh, they're good, you get bored easily. So I don't want a group of Nicole Scherzingers or, you know, people. I want to look at people like Nicole because they're amazing, but you want someone like Anne Wickham, because, you know, she was dragged across that floor. I was in tears watching sometimes. You know, she was at Blackpool being dragged around the floor by her ankle.
Yeah.
You know, and they're spinning. You're like, oh,
do you think he's screwing? Is Anton screwing when how's it happen? Picked out of a hat?
I think he's secretly quite loving it, because that's his shtick. That's his personality. You know, not only is he put with the person who is the eldest of the celebrities, but what's she going to be doing? She's going to be doing nothing. She ain't going to be doing no samba. Imagine what she's going to look. Yeah. But that is why they put them with that, for the entertainment.
So if you're a brand new professional on there,
yeah,
you're not going to be given someone who's massively challenging. You're
probably not. Probably not. And don't forget, dare I say it, some of the pros they pick for these shows necessarily aren't the best Latin and ballroom dancers in the world.
What are you saying?
So you can have competitively, you've got a lot of people who are probably better than them. But when you look at it from an outsider, from people who aren't in the ballroom and Latin industry,
you're saying they've been picked for their personalities
as well, because you can have someone who's not a great ballroom and Latin. They can be great at Latin or not so good at ballroom, but they have a phenomenal personality.
I always loved James Jordan.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I liked him because of his attitude.
But that's the thing. He had the personality to back it up. A lot of these people don't have personality.
Brendan
to back
Cole.
It up. Yeah.
He came to my class once, screwed because he couldn't do it. Yeah. And sulked at the side because his brother used to come. His brother used to come to my class regularly.
I think he did the Australian version.
He was okay.
Scott Cole.
That's it. He was okay at my style. Obviously, he was good at ballroom. But Brendan then turned up at the height of his fame. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, God. He stood right in front. And I just thought, right from when we started rolling down for the roll-up, I thought, this is not going to be good.
So why did he go? Do you mind me asking?
To support his brother, I suppose, or just come. Maybe his brother had been saying, "Hey, there's an amazing class going.
You need to try Stuart.
You need to try Stuart Bishop's class, And he didn't come back again. But he came across very. You never stand at the front of a class that you've never been to. No matter how good you are, you're just not going to know the warm up. You're not going to know the style. And he did that, and he just came across a little bit pissy, which was a shame because I'm sure he's a nice guy. Well, I don't know. Is he?
I don't know him really well. I've met him a few times. Every time I've met him, he seems to have been nice to me. Same, I knew.
He might
James
have just thought
a lot
class
more.
was shit.
Well, he might have done this. What's he doing? But I know James Jordan a lot more because he's more my age level. Yeah. So we used to compete at the same time. But he's been one of these people who has such a strong mind, and he will do, if he wants to do something, he will do it, which is why I've always respected him. And when he was on Strictly, I thought he was great. You know, it might have been like, you know, love him or hate him, but he had that personality, and he wanted that celebrity to do well. You know, so yeah.
Yes. Can I ask you how them the pros get found then? Like, is there like BBC scouts on the competition circuit?
Through word and mouth, you know, if they're looking, the creative directors or the producers might put out through word and mouth, and they might go, "Oh, we're looking for a new set."
I suppose the question is is there a head honcho? Is there someone in the Latin industry that has the clout and who says, right, listen, this is who you need to use?
I mean, you've got someone like Shirley Ballas, who's the judge, who's known worldwide. She will know people if they are looking for people. You know, she produced people like Derek Hoff,
right?
Yeah.
Who went to Italian Conti, who has done more for Latin to make it look current than anyone I know.
Yeah.
So
sure.
for me, he's one of my
and
inspirations.
He's crossed over because he's
of course
he judged World of Dance
with Jennifer Lopez and Nia. So it's
like
that for me is great because they've made Latin so much more mainstream. But he's done it in a way because he's a trained dancer. He can, but he's done it in a way where it is more relatable and it looks cooler.
Do you think? I can ask you because you are you are representative of the LGBTQ community. Do you think is Derek Hoff, is he gay or straight?
Straight.
Right.
Yeah.
James Jordan?
Straight.
Yeah. Anton, unbelievably.
Straight.
Yeah. Do you think?
Unbelievably.
Do you it seems like because it's I think of when I worked in the hair industry. You see all these women hairdressers. When you get to the very, very top and you're at the international salons and big shows, it's all the men. And it's straight men a lot of the time. Yeah. Most of them are straight men.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So do you think that the straight men in Latin ballroom get more of an opportunity to become that personality? And if so, did you ever think of them becoming straight?
How many answers do you want me to give you? I mean, growing up, I was straight at the beginning, and then I was obviously gay.
Was any of your partners girlfriends?
Yes.
So is there a woman out there who you were partnered with that then put you off the female kind and made you gay?
No, I don't think it was that. I think I've always, even now, I'm still attracted to women. Doesn't mean to say I'm sexually attracted to women. I can go, oh my God, she's beautiful. Wow, she's stunning. But I think it comes back and it stems back from me starting in Ballroom and Latin, where it's all very much boy and girl partnerships. Yeah, there was all girl partnerships and stuff, but I've always been, that's my thing, boy and girl partnerships, moving with a girl. When I did Dirty Dancing, moving with it just feels right for me. So I think I don't know, it's just personal preference, but I just feel as though all throughout my dancing career I've been very more comfortable dancing with a girl than if I was to have to dance with a boy. I don't know why.
So do you think then with the straight guy, do you think the straight guys get more opportunity at the very top than the gay guys? From
Strictly sort of people? I don't know, because if you look at someone like Johannes, he's got like tours, going around selling out tours and stuff. He's very popular. So I don't think it necessarily, probably back then maybe, but I think now, there's a lot more opportunity. I mean, he's doing another sellout tour. So
where's Johannes?
South Africa.
Right. There is obviously a level there that the straight males get a different sort of fan base as well, because there's some of them that have been on like the
from Giovanni to Johannes. You've got two different. You've got the red-blooded male, Giovanni, and he's selling out tours as well. And
some have done these sort of like not Magic Mike style, but Magic Mike S shows that actually they're trying to attract like women to come to like, these are my man crushes.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
Because they are brought up to how women react, or how women and men react to them. They're like gods. I mean, I've been to a couple of the Strictly shows. I've been to a Giovanni show. It's a few years back, and the women are like bonkers. Yeah. Even when he stands and speaks, it's like a pop star. It's if you're watching a pop star.
Right. Well, we're back. Somehow we're back minus my phone, which was meant to be filming, but it only filmed 26 minutes. So. This is why we brought you in, isn't it? As a guinea pig.
I'm the guinea pig.
Yeah,
I'm the guinea
this
pig.
Probably ain't even going to be shown.
No, probably it's not. No, you're right.
We were just before that we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about just the different sort of
the way the different people from Strictly are promoted. Like we were just saying about the straight guys, how they have the show that are literally pitched to like 40-year-old women.
Yeah.
Whereas then Johannes is obviously a completely different audience when he's on tour. It's interesting the way they build them.
But I think it's just with Strictly fans. It's such a broad variety of Strictly fans. Reiterated earlier, it's for people that probably from 40 onwards.
Yeah.
But I think, they just love anything about Strictlyfied, or oh my god, a workshop Strictly. And you get people going to different hotels and they're taught by some Strictly pros, and oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
they do whole weekends.
Yeah, whole weekends, and it's just it's like a money making machine. And they do the Strictly tour, and it's it's an incredible machine, and it's so much hard work goes into these productions and shows, and it's
To go into, I wanted to ask you some questions, making a comparison between that Latin competition scene to the disco competition scene.
Right.
And I always feel like the Latin scene is more established, more built. And I say this from a perspective, let's take the disco scene. They'll do that till 18, but then it's very normal at 18 for them to then go to college and enter the casting world. With Latin, obviously, you keep going even as adults, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's more to earn from Ballroom and Latin.
Yeah.
Competitively, you can go up to, to do professional, you can go up to, mid-30s, I suppose. And then you retire, and then you just teach around the world. I mean, I don't know what it's like from the disco world. So I know I've seen a couple of competitions, and, it's very Latin. It's with costumes and the hair scraped back and tan and everything. But I don't know what you would do after you were 18 in disco. I don't know what the progression is. Obviously, to go to the commercial side of it, but I don't know what you can do in the
They
disco
don't have any
industry.
disco world championships for adults.
Well, there's
Probably.
ones they call a world championship, but it's not like world where you go to Poland maybe.
But it's younger people, right?
Their world championship is Blackpool Ballroom, and it's everyone from the UK.
Right.
Oh, I see. So it's just UK based.
Basically, yeah.
I see.
It has the title, but not actually the.
Well, that's probably one of the reasons
It's a bit
why.
like darts, isn't it? Darts.
Yeah,
darts
that
and,
amazing sport to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, darts and snooker. Majority of their players are coming from the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess there's maybe something in that where disco never intends to go beyond 18, so they have to move.
Yeah.
Latin obviously doesn't give you a reason to move.
No.
Do you think that's a reason so many people stay in as well?
Yeah, I do, and I think a lot of their teachers will go, "Oh, you're doing really well," and they're pushing them, giving sometimes false hope because I've seen people who I've taught before. I'm like, they're going to make it, but there comes a point where you actually have to stand on your own 2 feet and go, I know I'm not going to be the world champion, but I can make a living out of this. I will stop competing and teach. But there's some people who are just caught in that web and just keep paying the money, getting the same things, and it's just like, why are you doing this?
It's a skill. It's in the teacher's arsenal, isn't it? To give false hope.
Yeah. Well, it is. I was going to ask you a question of how you would advise and pitch to help that Latin scene cross over into casting. But just from this podcast, I'm gathering that actually there isn't really a way to do it, because if you encourage people at 18 to step across, you're collapsing their business. They're never going to allow it in.
Yeah, and I think
because they're not becoming champions at 18 before 18, are they?
Well, there's different categories. You've got
no
juvenile.
one cares about that, do they?
But this is what I mean. Once you get, that's when you can start making the money. When you're an amateur world champion or a professional world champion, so that's when you start to make the money and you travel and you get paid to travel around the world. That's great living. But for the people who don't do that, it's a bit blind. They're going into it blind, come to this. Why are you not doing this? And they're made to feel. I felt as though I got made to feel quite guilty if I wasn't practicing enough. And you're privileged. You're from the UK. You've got it easy. You've got the studios here. Yes, we do have the studios and the best teachers in the world, but I still had to do a full-time job in retail to pay for it. Yeah. That's not easy. And then expect them to go to. I run myself into the ground. At one point, I was working 45 hours a week in retail in Croydon of all places, and then going to rehearse, training 4 nights a week, and then having lessons twice a week. Just burn you out because you and also you can't afford it. It's so expensive.
Just so you know, Croydon's on its way up now.
Oh, great. I haven't been there for a while, so I'll let you know once I go back.
My girlfriend lives in Norwood, so I have to get to
Oh,
East
I know
Croydon.
Norwood. Yeah.
Yeah, you get in East Croydon. It's like it's all all been what they call like skyscrapers.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
nice.
Well, it's got the box parking.
Yeah, it's got the
as well.
box
Yes,
park.
like in
yeah,
Shoreditch.
yeah. So
I think I've been past it and I haven't actually entered.
and they've got trams.
Oh, I've seen the trams.
Yeah, just thought I'd put it
the
out.
trams are always there.
East Croydon's on its way up.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, firstly, good luck with Future Motion.
Thank you very much.
I'm saying it as if I'm not going to see you.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
But we'll be following you on every aspect of that until he gets rid of us as agents.
That's right. Yeah.
And we'll be able to look back at this.
Yes.
This video.
And go, why did he say that?
Yeah. Good luck with that. Thank you for being our guinea pig. Don't expect when you watch this back. We might have to cut out loads. Obviously, we've had my bloody phone going pear shaped. It was strategic today where we sat because we were going to sit there. But I had a what's it called? An ingrowing hair. Yeah. So this is why I'm sitting here and not there. I did put some cover up on it. But,
there we go.
Yeah,
you made an effort at least.
But so there might be some cuts when we in the end. Normally, when we go back on it, it's like, yeah, that's really good. But this time it might be right. Okay, I don't look good. The way your feet are, this is. We're learning. We're learning
all the way. That's fine.
Where can people? I'm asking, but I know. I already know, so I'm not going to ask the question. No,
the video.
Yeah, tell us where people can follow you and also find out about Future Motion.
Okay, so follow me Instagram Ian Banham, on Facebook Ian Banham. Also Future Motion, www.future-motion.co.uk, and you can also audition for there. Obviously, we'll have the auditions anyway.
Auditions tomorrow. So if somehow you're watching this,
I mean, it'll be out on Thursday, so it's gone by the time you watch it.
It's gone, yeah. So don't bother turning up.
You'll be late.
The audition's on Tuesday, which is tomorrow.
You could do the classes though the following week, so make sure.
Every Thursday.
Yeah.
Go on Base's website, have a look. They'll be there.
Yeah. Cool. Do you need? Yeah. We need subscribers. We need people to watch.
Well, there's another question. Yeah.
Pardon?
There's another question. Yeah.
There's another question. Oh, right. Go on.
So there's one last question that we round off every episode with.
That's right.
Here we go.
Shit,
Here's a big question.
I wasn't seeing him as a proper guest, even though he's a proper guest. I was seeing him as our guinea pig.
Lovely.
Great.
I mean, really say that live as well.
Well, the thing
you wait and see the views you get for this.
your phone just moved. It did. Something just moved.
That'll be right.
Well, no. The reason, obviously, you are seen to us. You're probably not. We see you as just as good as the rest of our guests, but they're probably thinking, well, we're not probably treating you like one of our normal guests. We've been a bit more conversational.
Well,
but it is the first time we've been like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, we're less stressed about the conversation because we know each other so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, sometimes that can be worse if you know people. You're like, oh God, how is it going to come across as natural?
Yeah. Well, you've been kicking me. Well, I don't know. I thought it was kicky, but he's been playing my feet for the. I mean, I've been enjoying.
I've kicked my feet here. So I don't know who's been kicking you.
It's a tricky thing to do, to go from our Zooms to then go into this format, because I'm always aware that I've got you right next to me, and also the way we're sort of done it on an angle which feels it will look fine with the camera, but it feels weird like this, and then I don't always want to go, oh, go on then, you go, or whatever, but no,
I'm the same, like turning to talk to you, I'm like, can anyone see me?
Yeah. So I mean, it might not even make the fucking.
We might even make an edit as a waste of this time. Yeah.
But go on.
Anyway,
the final question.
The final question. Go.
So we ask everyone. I'm going to ask you this on a personal level and with the company.
Yeah.
Let's say in 50 years' time, you're just announcing you're retiring from the industry.
He'll be dead. He'll be dead.
Come on.
He's so old. How old are you?
46.
46.
In about 3 weeks.
Exactly, you're so old.
Oh, no, I'm so old.
I'm 46 in a 2 months, so
78 then.
Yeah, 78.
Yeah. 78.
But go on. But in 50 years,
So business is mine in 50 years.
I'll still be doing the cartwheels
Well,
down the road.
Business will be yours in 20 years, probably.
Cool.
No. In 50 years, at 46, we would be 96.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ali Phillips is still there.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
So go on, what's the
So-
question? after I'm dead or whatever. Yeah,
So
what's the question?
So let's imagine it's a day you're like announcing your retirement from the industry, and Variety magazine pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see them reporting? And what I like to get in this is like, how would you like to see your legacy being written? How would you like to be remembered? And then for yourself, how would you like the company to be remembered?
I think for myself to be remembered, I'd like to be remembered for someone who inspires people through creative work and vision, and to cross over dance styles, because I don't think that's done.
Definitely.
And for the company, I think the same. I think it's a unique company we're starting with, to get different dance styles together and to birth a new production company. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's my answer.
I mean, you're way on your way to doing that.
That's right.
So
Well, fingers crossed, and looking forward to it.
you are good things ahead. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank
today.
you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy to be the guinea pig, guys.
Thank you Ian, for
Yes.
joining us.
Thanks for letting us test our terrible cameras.
This will go down, because people now watching this back from in 10 years' time will go, wow, this was the first time. Yeah, because hardcore Three Rings podcast fans would be like, no, if you know from the beginning, they were actually on Zoom.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
makes
But we
sense.
are actually going back to Zoom. After we've got
After this, in what
Yeah,
mess this
yeah.
is. Once
once we've watched this, we'll be going back to Zoom. No, we're doing a couple of live ones, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then we will be going back to Zoom.
Yeah.
But this is testing it for the future, basically.
Yes,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, big thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much.
Before everyone watching leaves us, subscribe to the channel, give us a like on the video, and turn on your notification bell so you know all about next week. Thank you for watching. Go and check Ian out. Check out Future Motion, and we will see you all next week.
Bye! I was just waiting.